Good morning, everyone. Are you guys able to hear me? Let me know if you can hear me. Oh, okay. Thank you. All right, we'll go through the charts real quick. New week, so it's good to take a look at the weekly chart. You can see where we're at all-time highs. Just kind of basing there. Daily, same thing. A 4 hour. Going back to test that high. 1 hour, pretty extended right here. $15-minute is actually right on the midpoint, but it's still pretty extended. Look on the 5. Let's look at oil. Weekly. Pretty decent move the last few weeks. There's the daily. Seems to be running out of a little bit of steam here. 4 hour. The sell-off this morning seems a little bit different than we've had in the past. So let's see if it can hold in this area. It's kind of double support area. It's a 15-minute. Risk to reward, it looks like it's could be a decent spot for longs. We'll go through. Let's look at the Nasdaq again. Daily, you could see it's actually less. Oh, Andrew is on a flight right now, so he's gonna miss the. But he'll be back later. Daily, as you can see, it's a little bit weaker than the S&P. There's a 4 hour. $15-minute and the 5-minute. We'll see if it can hold in this range. So we'll cover. I think we'll maybe just use the Nasdaq as a point of reference. about the different trade setups in your risk reward ratio. But let's just see. Let's let this price action pan out a little bit, and we'll see. Maybe we'll even look at oil because it's actually a better type of price action. So what you're looking for on a topping pattern, we were getting higher highs. So you're, in my opinion, I think it's better off that you're always going with the trend. We've talked about this a little bit even in the training, where when you're fighting the trend, a lot of times you end up, you could tell you're in a trade for a long time and you're always down. And that's pretty typical with you. If you get in a trade and you're with the trend and you got it in a good spot, it's all of a sudden like you're profitable right away, and it just keeps on going. I've always thought that if you get in a trade and it's pretty much profitable right away, then you've definitely got you're definitely in a good spot. So as you could see, as this is making a higher high, now we just made another higher high. Now let's see if this low can hold here, because now we have a lower high. If we can make a lower low, then that's starting a topping pattern. But topping patterns are different. They don't just completely fall out of bed. I mean, they can, but this is also a 4-hour chart, so it's a little bit longer term. Let's see if we can go to there's a 1 hour in oil. You're kind of zoomed in now, seeing those double top, lower high. Are we going to start to get lower lows? Still a pretty powerful trend. Let's see if we can get a shot. Buy under 62 or at 62. We'll even zoom into the 1 minute. S&P, and I guess I'll just let me go through all my charts anyway. S&P and the yen came together with this recent rally in the S&P. It's the black line. If the dollar has bottom, then I definitely think crude's got some downside risk. Back down in the 53 area, maybe. Also, the S&P versus crude. It was also S&P catching up to crude. You get Gonna pull back on. I have to adjust these numbers. Four, 80. I guess it looks like 84, and then the next level is 100 points higher. We'll just leave it. And then on crude, it's 59.03. The second one is 57.60, so that's a buck lower. Nothing actionable there. There was a bunch of different, I guess Japan is on holiday all week, Golden Week, and then there's been scattered holidays, May Day, kind of people are still, seems pretty slow. I'm definitely getting a lot of cross currents in the automated systems. The one system's been filtered out and it's pretty much flat. So that's typically pretty choppy. Yeah, some time frames there's no trades on. Pretty choppy. In currencies. Someone said Cinco de Mayo. Not sure if that's a big market European holiday, but 96. Kind of had some pent up demand on just before the open. I got a little bit of a springboard. So what I like to do is even have a daily kind of mindset, and then that's when I talk about anchor prices, that's kind of the idea, like where the day is going to go, and then once you get the open, you get that opening move, then you have kind of a couple different scenarios that you can have that could that you can have a trade. I think if we can get down to here, we can get along. So once you've made a top and you finally had a decent pullback, you want to see how this tests now to the high to kind of give the rest of the day's tenor. We're definitely extended on these shorter time frames, but when you step back and you look at the 4 hour, we're in an uptrend and we're not even at the midpoint. So what you'll see is the 5 minute will take a breather, and then eventually that'll play out, and then it'll kind of get back into its groove on whatever the higher time frame is in control. If it's the 1 hour, the 4 hour. The news today, I know the factory orders came in a little bit better. Let me see if I could try and find rest of the week. We've got bunch of different. We've got um, Australia has their rate decision. There's pretty much a lot of. It's unemployment week, so there's ADP on Wednesday. That's a big number for the employment. Pretty heavy news week. Election in the UK. So we'll see if this market can come in. We'll leave the 5 minute up. S&P is actually trading a little bit stronger, but crude looks like it wants to take a new push lower. Yeah, that's a lot of times what happens. There's a lot of position squaring into the unemployment numbers. So a lot of times there's moves probably Wednesday, even into Thursday. Let's see, crude. Crude is definitely running out of steam. It's kind of a critical area. See if the buyers can come in here and absorb all these sellers. Yeah, I'm looking at the higher time frame here. 1 hour and the 15 minute. Might need a little more downside. So that kind of pattern, like we've talked about bottoms, it's usually, some type of V bottom, but this is more bearish. Usually when you go to a higher time frame, like on a 15-minute, you've got these kind of end of trend reversal candles, and then all of a sudden it fell apart. That's not good for if you're bullish. 58.30 really needs to hold. Let's see if it can hold that level. About 20 more cents in crude. So I know there's been people have been asking about scaling in and scaling out. I know Andrew was going to do a training session, but what I can do is just kind of put in kind of the framework for what he's going to be talking about with that. So the idea of scaling is to be able to put on some. So remember, you have to be in a position to make money, so you have to put on risk. You have to put on a position, and then if you're in that position and it goes your direction that you're in it, then that's how you make profit. So you don't, if you look at, like I talk about risk reward ratio, if the risk reward ratio is 70% or 60%, it's still a good trade, but the percentage chances can be lower that it's going to work or not. So what you want to do is be able to put in a position, and then as you work into that position, as it goes your way, you can add to your position, or you can have, it pretty much reduces your risk. So when you have a position or a trend that's going and starts going your way, and you can add and subtract pieces of it that will both profits, then you have a pretty good chance of being profitable in little pieces, instead of saying, well, I'm all in here and then I'm all out there. So an example would be if you had bought, I don't know, if you had bought in here and the market starts to go your way, you can sell a position in it. If it sells off, you can always buy back in more. In this case, it's kind of hard because it was just pretty much straight up. So I typically like to do either 3 or 4 units. So that would be, no, let's just stick with 3. If you buy one, goes your, if you take some heat, you buy another one, as long as it's with the trend. Now it's not really recommended to be averaging on the way down, but if you're putting on a smaller position than your normal size, then you're technically not, you're still entering your position. So if you buy it at 73 and you buy one at 71, your position's 72, so it's not too bad. Then once it rallies, you can take one off, and rallies again, you take another one off, and you were able to catch that move, yet at the same time book profits to reduce your risk. A lot of times we talk about if you got in and you put a break even stop, you've got pretty much zero risk. So those are the kind of trades that you want to like when you have zero risk, right? Once you build into a position and you have, and that's the thing, like I've talked about with some of my different systems. Some of the different systems have been um, entering a position. It can only get into newer, bigger positions if it was profitable. So one of my market making systems, the only way it can get bigger size on is if it's winning, and then basically you can go to a break even trade. So those are the kind of things. Those are the kind of trades you really like. I mean, why wouldn't you? Very low risk. Let's see. And some people are asking about you can do if you left click, it does whatever size is on the left, and then if you right click, it does whatever size you have. So you can do, buy two, sell one kind of thing. That's for scaling. Although I think I prefer, I buy my 3 units, get a better price average, and then once they fill, I can start offering it out. But that's more scalping. If you guys have questions about that, let me know. I think the key part with trading is keep it as simple as possible. Are there a lot of bells and whistles, different things that you can use, and different strategies and things like that? That's good, but I think you're best to focus on what's comfortable for you. You can't force someone to be a scalper. Now, people have asked either about scalpers or market makers. Market makers, they're almost always, now the true like stock market makers, they have to be on the bid or offer or within a certain amount. So there's different strict rules as a market maker. See if this market starts to hold here. Put that away. So another thing is, Like when you look on your ladder, some people have asked about the size here. I think the biggest thing is with the trade size is that um, it can change. Like you'll see there used to be what's called tape watching. You'd be able to watch that and see the different levels. I think you still can. I mean, obviously there is size that comes in, but a lot of that size is more fake or what they call spoofing nowadays. Although in futures, if you have a 200 lot to sell, you're good for 200 lots. You can't just put fake orders in. So we'll take a look at the yen, see what that's doing. 6. Yen's kind of railing a little bit. See if we can get the stock market going. Crude's having a decent rally. Not sure if anyone had start taking a look at crude to the long side. We haven't looked at stocks in a while. Pull that up. Or bonds. Here's bonds. I gotta move this. It's a daily chart of bonds. You can see it's been had its high and it's been kind of breaking down. That caused a lot of different flows. Just waiting for the primary trend to kick back in. I think it'll be weaker, the rally, but just because on the 15-minute, it just looks like it's a little bit heavier. Oops. So we'll go through this is a 5-minute chart. Actually, let me put up. So we can do that comparison that I've talked about. So there's a 5-minute on this is the 5-minute NASDAQ. That's the NASDAQ ETF. I could even do that's fine. And then so I'll be able to compare it. I want to make sure it's the same size. So we could see there's the Dow. This is just the 5-minute for today. So and S&P, the mighty Apple, looks all right. Amazon. So you could see I'm comparing it to this. This held. Amazon's less bullish. Alibaba, less bullish. Cisco had news, new CEO. Facebook, less bullish. Google, more bullish. So you could see how I'm looking at different tech stocks, how they compare. Netflix, kind of the high flyers. There's Microsoft. Oracle's better. It's pretty quiet. Twitter. And then I start comparing the banks. Bank of America is pretty good. Cisco, or I'm sorry, Citigroup. Goldman. High yield debt. It's hanging in there. And JP Morgan's better. Oil patch, ExxonMobil, it's okay. Valero, it's a refinery. And rig. It's almost neutral to bearish would be my take on that. I could see got out of that NASDAQ trade just to make a little bit. It's that once you get that higher time frame, starting to get way down on the let's look at the 15. For me personally, I like the, sometimes this stuff happens overnight, but the stair step pattern is much better than We had this big move and it retraced 3/4 of it. Yeah, is it going to bounce there? Sure, but you kind of get the fact that it came in like that is a little more less bullish. Let's just say bulls are pretty tired. See if maybe we can add back in. Still a decent spot on the chart. Um, I'm going to watch the oil stocks to see if there's actually Exxon looks much better than crude oil. But that's just market structure when you look at the trend. It's been pretty decent up move, so it's got to take a breather. Let's see here. Yeah, the pre-market, that was, seems like all the moves are happening at that time now. But this kind of price action where it runs up and then grinds lower. If you ever see that, you just hit right click and hit reload chart. See what I mean on that kind of chart versus, up move and then sideways versus up move and retrace most of it quickly. It's almost a blow off top. You get an hourly candle and then pretty much almost going to be engulfed. We'll see if it hits. That would break the uptrend. So simple trend lines are actually the best. Usually you take the most recent low. You could either do from here, draw a line out, or the recent two major lows. It's pretty much coming right into this area. Definitely want to see that hold. Let's fix that chart. There's Apple, Amazon. What I'm looking for is to see if their stocks are holding or breaking out. Google looks pretty good. So you can get a feel if this market's turning or not. It's not bad, but not spectacular either. Also, the VIX has been on the rise today, so it's usually when it's going up, it's bearish. Let's see if the Nasdaq can turn it around here. Crude has, and this is we also talk about relative strength versus, especially these three. So crude, S&P, and Nasdaq. You can see how they're pretty uncorrelated today, S&P and crude. But we'll see if it can drag S&P down, because you can see we've had this down and we're up, and then now a slight pullback. But as we talk about, crude has its does whatever it wants. Nasdaq seems to be holding. sometimes this little washout is, if there was big sellers when it broke down there, it should have sold off more. So that might have hit all the stops out, cleaned out the marketplace for an up move. Let's go to a shorter time frame. Still 1 minute. Now, if you had bought oil in that turnaround area, or I mean, this is anytime below that band is a decent spot. You definitely want to be blowing out a couple of units here. One, if not 2 units. Natural spot for it to hold on the bottom band on the 1 hour. Same with the 15-minute. What I'd like to see for the rest of the day, there will be a point where the NASDAQ resumes its uptrend. It's really in that triangle area. So I've got the red bands and the gold in there. Now that can also happen, the triangle on the downside where it gets, well, this barely got in there by a couple ticks. Still a valid long area. See if you get in. I've got my anchor price at 88.75, so to see if we can get back down there. The VIX also. Let me move this over. It's a 5-minute chart of the VIX, so it tried to break out and failed. This can break down to here. That could be a decent rally. We should get back to the high. See if we can do that. We'll see if this market can turn around. Slowly turning. Usually you'd like to see it happen quicker. For me, with the arrows, they only have a couple bars, like 3 to 5 bars. And the strength of it kind of starts to run out. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Really like to see a break above 90. It's just kind of sitting there. But we'll see also the S&P with oil bouncing pretty good. This price action is kind of dead in the water. You don't want it to go up and then fall just when it was trying to break out. Slow Monday, that's for sure. So we'll see on the wrap-up call. Look on the price action here. 96. Basically, I got about 08, which is a little bit lower than here as the close. 2108. Interesting. All right, we'll see you in the wrap-up call. Thanks a lot. Bye.